G'day all, Ben here, Reese West. Going to have a look at gold and silver and the US dollar in this video. Obviously been a pretty wild week, but are we starting to see some setups emerging? Let's just jump in and have a look at the charts. So just starting out here on the US dollar, we've been looking for this to come off quite handily for the last few weeks, and now it's just sort of traversed, and we got pretty close. This was sort of Monday's price action, and obviously Monday was pretty extreme, and that was mainly due to the dollar yen. So, we came down towards the bottom end of this sort of wedge that we've been in since more or less mid 2023. And now we've bounced back 50%. So, a couple of things here. I'm just a little bit wary at the moment because we've just tickled over a one-to-one move there. Okay, so that's sort of ticks that box, and then we just sort of came in and we just teased through, pardon me, not that one, we just teased through the bottom of this. So, it's kind of, let me just take this off so we can see. So we just sort of teased through it. We wick rejected it, I think, as you can say. Now we've bounced back 50%. So a little bit betwixt and between here, but we do have a three-wave equidistant move in there, so that will just make me a little bit wary about a short-term bottom being in place. Long-term, I think this is going to break this sort of wedge and keep going. But we've just come back here, so we're just asking the question because we might do this. Don't know yet, but I'm on the lookout for that to happen. If that does happen, I'll just be a little bit wary of the metals. But right now, I'm still looking to be more a long-term buyer over the days and weeks. Because I think this will keep weakening off. But look, next week we've got PPI, CPI, retail sales. So, I think it seems like inflation's sort of gone off the agenda a little bit now for the Fed. But if those numbers, especially CPI, comes in benign again, the rate cut talk will ramp up again. I think the talk of 50 in September is a bit premature. 25. Yeah, most likely 50. I don't think so, but nonetheless, I think this is the way we're going. So, with that in mind, I'm still bullish the metals. It's just about waiting for the big setup. So that's where we sort of sit in the US dollar. So just moving over here to gold, I'm just sort of looking at this, and just as it sits at the moment, I'm like, okay, well, look, we've got this run, and then we've got this correction. But the question in my mind is that the correction finished there, or is this part of the correction as well? Because just to the naked eye, you could almost say, oh, well, look, we're kind of in a range here, and maybe, just maybe you could even argue that there is yet another small wedge forming here. I don't know about that just yet. I'm not playing it that way, but I'm cognizant to this perhaps wedging in and doing another range, which is going to kind of screw up the Elliott wave outlook. But once again, I'm not leaning too hard into the Elliott because I don't think it suits gold, particularly on the big picture. I just think you can pick out Elliott structures within the smaller picture, which helps you to identify opportunities. So let's go in and do that right now. So sort of just sketching this up. This is kind of, we're on a 4 hour here. This is just kind of how I was looking at it in an Elliott sense. And yes, I can definitely appreciate that you could possibly count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is certainly possible. But I think this fits more 5, this fits more 3. It just looks better. And then I think you can make an impulse out of that, 5 waves up. And then we're looking at this sort of 3-wave move back down. So actually, we've just come down here. Yeah, so I think that sort of suits. And then coming off the bottom here is a little bit more challenging. 1, yeah, 2, perhaps. But I think what we've got going on here at the moment is something that looks more akin to a 5-wave move, something more like that. But I don't know if that's necessarily over. Now, you can put the Elliott aside, and this is what I did trading this week, as I was just looked at this push up here and thought, okay, well, we've got a good push away from the bottom of what I think looks like 3 corrective waves. What do I want to see next? So I want to see this. Okay, now I did trade this in this manner, and it was a little bit tough to hold. Certainly when it was down here and there was still a lot of wobbles in the market, I sort of had my stop below here, initially, and I had it below here at various times, but I certainly thought many times, oh, this is going to get stopped out. But I held on. I just accepted the fact that I couldn't control the situation. I had the trade on. I had the plan set. I just had to let it do its thing, and eventually it did do its thing. It got to its target just this morning, or this morning my time, last night, Friday night. So what comes next? Well, like I said, I think this looks like I'm sort of playing this in an Elliott, since I'm playing this as a 1, 2, and I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that we're going to get some sort of third wave in here. Now just basic third wave extensions would take us, and we're talking about this as being one wave coming off the bottom of this, that would take us up to here. So that would mean to me that if this was going to play like an Elliott, and I don't know if it does, we'll just bring that marking back in, because remember, that's all they are. They're just scratchings on the chart. Well, that would, to me, suggest that, you'll get a fifth rip like that, and that the market will go high. That's what I would think, generally speaking. But this is only a possible path for price. It's not a prediction or a guarantee. I'm not thinking about it like that. I'm just thinking about this as a general context, because that's all Elliott Wave is. It just gives the market some sort of context. But what am I thinking about from here? Well, for me, it's quite straightforward. I would probably, I wouldn't take it. Oh, you could take that one. I'd probably, take that one. Take that one. I'd just be tracking this. Okay, I'd simply be tracking that. Okay, and if I see something like that back into the zone, and that would be nice because it would line up with this, I'd be keen to take the trade. Probably what would form up better for me is if this retracement zone more lined up with that area. Okay, so if we got the retracement that came in and tested that, okay, that would be, I would like that more than testing this, because this was a bit more of a major sort of resistance pivot level, because it also ties into these wick rejections down there. Okay, so if you then go back and reverse engineer the Elliott, and this is all just hearsay, of course, but looking at that 161 put, that would be third wave. Okay, so maybe the third wave is a bit shorter, but the point is, I would like for this progression, whichever way it pans out, 3, 4, maybe 5, something like that, I'd like it to top out here and then get the big retracement back to there. That would be my ideal scenario. But at the end of the day, I'll just do whatever the market does. So I will have this plan, best laid plan, but maybe this does top out here, and that's what I've got to deal with. I've got to deal with this, okay, and that's going to be my buying opportunity. Okay, maybe it doesn't do that. Maybe it only comes back and does test the top of this and doesn't go any further down. I'll just have to observe. Okay, all I can do at this stage is lay a plan for what I would like to see, what setup I would like to see. I mean, maybe you could make that argument. That's not bad. See how that ties into that? I mean, if it comes back like that, that's probably not a bad area to take a look at. But all I can do is lay a plan of what I would like to see happen to entice me in. If I saw that, I'm keen. Okay, so that just remains the game plan for gold right now. Expecting a building higher wave, but I'll just be on the lookout for retracements. Just moving over to silver here, and this one was I was finding this a little bit difficult. I think last week we were round about here, and I was just like, oh man, I don't know what's going on with this one. It doesn't look clear. I think to me now the picture's cleared up a little bit, so it's very interesting that we just came down here to the 50, and I'm taking this off this bottom here, okay, where we started to really run up. So we've come back 50 and we retested into this. So that looks all right. That looks all right. So if you're going to call this an impulse, which I think is not unfair, now you've got 3 waves back and it's 50% of that move. So that it's kind of like a bit of a box ticker. And this is, I mean, this front section is awful. This is starting to look a little bit cleaner, more like 5 sort of waves coming in here now. So I think this is one of those instances where it's a good example of you don't have to be a slave to Elliott, but you can just lean into some of the principles of it to just help you in your overall decision making. So 1, 2, 3, 4, pretty big 4, but down 5. So I can sort of count 5 waves with an extended third, even though the fourth's a little bit big, down into some sort of important sort of support area. So this right now, all this is for me right now is a setup. Okay, it's not a guaranteed trading opportunity, but when I look at this now, what would I do? I just, simple, right? Because off this I can structure a trade. Let's just say, for instance, look, I put the stop. Just say I split the 50 of the 61.8 as my entry, somewhere around there. So, I could just put a stop below the low, and I can just put a profit at the at the measured move target. Okay, so that gives me 1.6. So that's a little bit tight, but it is short-term trading. All right, so maybe that wicks down, and this isn't 5 waves. It's not finished yet. So all that's possible, but you can see now you've got some sort of logical plan about how you're going to do this, and then you can sort of overlay that, right? So now we know that this is just shied away from this. So do we see this? Okay, and then all of a sudden you've got a bit of confluence. This might be a good place to get out and reset for another pullback. All right, so that's just how you put the trade. That would be my basic trading plan for silver next week. That's how I would look at it. All right, so that's just how I'd put it together in context. I just think that now, it's cleared up a little bit, this picture. Still not super clean, but looking coming off this. All right, that's just how I would be approaching silver at this point. Okay, so that's just the game plan. Whether or not this comes to fruition, who knows? But that's just the way I'd approach it. So I don't think there's anything much more to say about it than that. So that's it for this week, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.